Middle-earth: Shadow of War is an amazing game that I cannot recommend. For everything that the game does right, it's undone by two glaring issues that I keep circling back to. But before I go into those, let's take a peek at what makes Shadow of War such a great game. Shadow of War's moment-to-moment gameplay is one of two best accomplishments in this game. The game gives you a lot of stuff to play with, specifically fashioned around its Arkham-style combat system. In Shadow of War and moments during gameplay, you do become surrounded so quickly and fights are actually kind of hard. It's more about you utilizing the tools you're given, and specifically how you build your character. The mechanics behind blocking and parrying are pretty much the same as any Batman game. Press Y when the prompt shows up. But since there are so many enemies in any given battle than any other Batman or Assassin's Creed game, you can replace the need to engage with this system by properly managing your skills. It's what allows the good and casual players to enjoy Shadow of War. There are so many things to this game, so much stuff you can do in Shadow of War. You've got your sword strikes, your parrying, throwing daggers, bows, special moves, phase shifting, executions, rolling, dodging, slide attacks, brainwashing, elven rage, mounting, and so much more. Now throw in managing your might meter, and there's quite a lot to think about while playing Shadow of War. And you don't have to spend so much time doing the brainless hit Y to block attack thing, because the toolkit is so expansive. It's what differentiates Shadow of War from, let's say, any Assassin's Creed game. You have more options to bypass the vanilla systems in the game. You play less of the merry-go-round thing and more of the, oh yes, I can do this, and then this, and then this, especially when you consider its ramp-up style combo system that awards damage for every orc killed in succession. Now obviously the issue here is that it does take some time to get acclimated to Shadow of War. I wasn't fully in tune with everything until around chapter 2, so some patience is required to learn everything you can do and to become natural at it. Just take a look at the skill tree system. You're allowed to augment any ability, and some of them change the base abilities dramatically, so yeah, there's a lot to learn here. When you do finally grasp everything on offer, Shadow of War though, it turns into one of the most amazing gameplay experiences. One moment you'll be phase shifting between tall towers, assassinating helpless orcs, and the other you'll be sneaking around doing quiet takedowns alongside Gondor soldiers or rampaging around on mounts, hunting down captains and making as much noise as humanly possible. The great control begs you to explore these options and its many features. Without seamless and fantastic control, this game would be a chore to play because it's so big and so wide. The movement though is silky butter smooth, and you can chain most things together naturally, such as holding the attack button mid-swing to link it to the charge meter of your scythe, or slow-mo the slide animation for some satisfying face shot archery. The great control is one of Shadow of War's biggest accomplishments and really pushes you to try out everything in the game because it's so seamless. The other wonderful part about Shadow of War is the Nemesis System, a feature that has been unreplicated to this day by any other game. On its own, the Nemesis System is fantastic. The ranked hierarchy-style screen, if you will, is a little bit intimidating at first. It's a roadmap, showing you the war chiefs, captains, and overlords in Sauron's command. You have complete control over who you go after and in what order. Each orc is allied to a certain tribe with unique abilities and hidden strengths. Their weaknesses, however, can be extracted by Talion prior to fighting them. These orcs also have alliances and rivalries among other tribes, such as orc blood brothers who avenge their partners if destroyed. It's a system that ties relationships to the actual culture, as everyone is connected. Shadow of War is an open world game that encourages you to kind of tamper and prod these relationships in any way you choose, and it's a great system. You can spend dozens and dozens and dozens of hours hunting orcs, severing bloodlines and alliances, killing and being killed by them. You can strategize the best time to strike, to infiltrate the hierarchy and penetrate their weak points. At other times, you'll run into captains on the battlefront, unbeknownst to you, spattering out their evil taunts and sometimes some kind of good humor.
Right lord, that lord. Same thing really.
Welcome to the arena, man swine. The crowd screams for bloody spectacle, and you will give it to them.
Crowd is seething with excitement, and so am I. I'm seething with all sorts of things, actually.
These moments are often the highlight of Shadow of War. But you will die in battle, and if you do fall, they will return stronger and may be promoted, making your sieges more difficult, emphasizing a think and do the right thing the first time mentality. Honestly, it's a great system that you will engage with every single time you pick up Shadow of War, and for hours and hours at a time. It could be argued most certainly as the main component to Shadow of War. The main problem and irony is that everything else surrounding the Nemesis system and the combat is hit or miss with Shadow of War, and I hate to say it because I love Middle-earth. Much of the side content is simply filler. Each map is littered with things and stuff, almost creeping up to Far Cry territory, some of it good, such as the side quests that give context to the lore in the previous game, but some of it is stone cold filler. For much of the game, each half an hour is exactly the same. Select a quest, do your quest, and get spit out the other end with a very brief cutscene and then repeat. Press select to bring up your map, visit the 40 or 50 icons littering the map for whatever reason until you have everything done, cutscene, and move on to the next chapter. And just like the map, everything in Shadow of War is bigger, but not for the sake of quality. These kinds of mindless, paint-by-the-numbers activities do the same thing they do in any other open-world game. They dilute the excitement of a more focused narrative. With 100 icons to click on, it gets tiresome after a while and you begin to fatigue. The worst part is, for those that ignore much of the side content because we want to interact with the main narrative, we do get screwed in the final act, Shadow Wars. In this fourth act, you've got 10 siege battles leading up to what people call the true ending. Essentially, it's an optional grindfest that you can expedite the process with by purchasing microtransactions. If you were like me and ignored much of the side content, then you had less currency to help you support your cause, making the final trip to the end game even more fucking painful. I cannot and will not support the work of a company that promotes the use of microtransactions in full-priced single-player games with the sole purpose of making it harder for people to enjoy the game without them. It's inexcusable. Shadow of War is an amazing game, yet the experience deadened by its more is better game design and its greedy-ass microtransaction-filled final act. War needed to cut out its click on me, icon everywhere map and relentless side activities that quite honestly didn't add much to the present narrative. That way, we could have fleshed out, the Nemesis system a little bit more, developed those relationships and making us care about the dozens upon dozens of orcs that we slaughtered over the course of the game. And more importantly, create a better and more epic story, which I would argue is the best part about single-player action role-playing games. Overall though, still a great game, just one that resides with so many other overfluffed open-world games, but this time, royally pissing everyone off with its BS in-game story and final act. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think about Shadow of War, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you on our next video.